Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? I want to talk about something that's really, really interesting to me. And I think everybody that gets involved with Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency has an interest in this area too. So I want to talk about money creation. Money creation. You know, I'm a product of the 70s and 80s, which is when I was growing up and going to school. And everybody just trusted banks. I mean, banks had the money and we borrowed the money and that's where we got the money. And nobody really questioned how the banks got the money. I mean, I remember even thinking the banks only made a spread on what they lent out and then whatever they had in deposit. So the bank couldn't really lend anything out until I had the deposit. So unless I deposited money, the bank couldn't lend it out, and they would make the spread between what the interest that they gave you for the deposit and what the interest is that they lend it out. I actually thought that's the way it worked. I mean, that's how crazy my thinking was back in those days. In early 1980s, or maybe early 1990s, I read a book by G. Edward Griffin, which was called The Creature from Jekyll Island. And this is pre-internet, so we're pre-information age. Nobody knows any of this stuff. And it talked about the Federal Reserve, it talked about the fiat money. And at that time, that was like secret stuff. Nobody talked about how the banks created money out of thin air. That was still a pretty well kept secret. Nobody understood it. Then when G. Edward Griffin's book came out, the internet started, and pretty much it was out of the bag. And then guys like Rand Paul come around, and they would ask the Fed chairman about the money creation. And of course, you know, information. Now everybody knew the gig. It was up. I mean, it's a fiat currency. It's created out of thin air. So once that got kind of around, that money is not anything that's created from work, or money's not anything created from some sort of store of cash or store of wealth or gold in the background or anything like that. It's just created. I mean, it used to be that people would think, you know, and there was a time when the government was linked to the gold standard, but then that fell apart in the early 70s, and it was linked to nothing. So then at that point it was just a free-for-all as far as creating money. So I listened to Vitalik quite a bit, and I like Vitalik. Vitalik's a very, very, very bright man, very bright. I mean, for being 24 years old, he's incredibly intelligent. And, you know, he bats in a different league as far as intelligence is concerned. I mean, the guy is so intelligent, it didn't manifest itself physically. He's just vibrating with intelligence. This guy is so crazy intelligent. And anybody that gets involved with Bitcoin, anybody that gets involved with cryptocurrencies, anybody that gets involved with these platforms has to think. They think about this not only in the terms of programming and smart contracts and Solidity and C++ and stuff like that. They also think about it in economic ways. You think about it as a way to create a community, a way to create money. I mean, really, that's what Ethereum is. Ethereum is a way. I mean, with Ether, they've created their own currency. They've created their own money, which is really incredible, given the fact everybody relies on a centralized system as a bank in our country, most countries. Now all of a sudden you've got this platform that you can create money. It's a money creation machine. That's what it is. These platforms are money creation machines. And you don't have to rely on this secondary source or this centralized source of creating money, which is a bank or some sort of system. Now you can create your own system. You can create your own way of having an economic system within these platforms. And that is one thing. And Vitalik's talked about this quite a bit, about how you don't have to. I mean, Vitalik said, this is not about overcoming or overthrowing a system that's in place now. This is about creating your own system. And now that the ability to kind of throw off that previous way of thinking is kind of like, once you make that connection, hey, we can create our own money. You know, we can create Ether. We can create money. We can create tokens from these platforms. These are money creation machines. And they're decentralized and they're autonomous. And so the way to create money, the way you can create money from these things is incredible. It's just incredible. I mean, and that's what these platforms are going to be used for. They're going to be used to create money. They're going to be able to use to create their own economies, their own systems, their own communities, and they're going to be able to create money. You don't have to worry about the money system as it is right now. You can create your own system. And Vitalik talks about that, and so does Dan Larimer talks about creating. So these platforms are incredibly valuable, not only for the fact that they can do smart contracts and they can do all this other great stuff, but they can also create value. They can create money. They can create a system of exchange, just like Bitcoin's done. This is powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. And people need to pay attention to it, because this is changing our reality. You know, Brock Pierce said one time that he figured out when the money that they were creating in some video game was just as good as the money that you earn when you went to a job, that kind of like all of a sudden made his mind take off and say, wow, the money, you can create your own money. You can create your own system of money with these games. With gaming, you can create your own system of money, and that money is just as good, and you can use it to trade just as much as the money that you go and get from a bank or the money you earn at your job. Once he made that connection, then all of a sudden his mind opened up, and that's what this is. So once you create your own money and your own system, your own economic and governance, now you can create things without having the third party involved, without having all this disruption and all this background, all this history, and all this, whatever it is that takes place when we go to work at a job, get money, and try to pay our bills. That can all be redone. That can all be reevaluated, thought out. This is incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. Changing our economic world. And this is one of the things that's very valuable about a platform like EOS. EOS is a platform that not only decentralized community, where you can create contracts, where you can do all kinds of great things. You can also create a currency. You can also create money. You can create your own ecosystem. You can create your own value as far as money is concerned. You can create a way to trade, a way to have value on that system, on that platform. That's why these platforms are valuable. They are not only platforms to create contracts, they're platforms to make money, to create money. So when you start thinking about EOS, and you start thinking of the future of EOS, think about a future where a platform that literally creates money. Just like money, it creates money. And that's what it is. I mean, you're doing that with Steam, you're doing that with, with all this different, the different platforms where if you go on and you do something, you create a post, you do you like a video, you like anything like that, or like DTube, and you create money. Just create money. That's something that people don't understand. And these systems are these platforms are incredibly valuable because their ability to create money. And that's something the world has never known before, and something that we have never had before, and that's something that we haven't lived under. I grew up in a system where everybody just borrowed money, or you went to the bank for money. You didn't have any way of creating money. But these platforms create money. And this is why I'm so excited about them, and this is why I think they're going to be so profitable. Because they do everything. Everything. You can create your whole governance, your whole economic system on these platforms. And this is something that we've never seen before. And this is something that's going to have unmeasurable value. Incredible value. Incredible value. So think about that. Think about these platforms as a way to create money. Just like the banks used to create money. Just like the banks still create money today. Just like the Federal Reserve creates money. These systems, these ecosystems, these platforms can also create money. So anyway, very, very interesting stuff. So I appreciate you watching. Thank you.